FPS games are great, but one big problem with making them is weapon clipping. When you get close to walls, your weapon can go through them. Solving this issue usually requires a custom shader or a multi-camera setup, but since Godot 4.5, there is now an easy, one-click solution, right inside the standard material. Let's start with a simple example. When we get close to the wall, our weapon renders inside it. To fix that, we need to change the weapon's material. So let's enable editable children so we can modify the model inside. We can see the material inside the mesh under the surface section. And the option we need to change is under the transform tab. But if we open it here, we can't modify it. That is because it is an internal material of the model. So you either have to create an external material or modify them in some other way. For now though, let's just create a new override material so we can see it working. And if you still can't change it, make sure you make it unique, due to how editable children works. Now we can finally modify the transform options. So let's see how it works in the game. Here's the clipping problem, still happening. But now you can just enable the Z-clip scale and reduce the slider just a bit below 1, and there we go, all fixed. You need to adjust this value depending on the length of the weapon, but generally anything slightly below 1 should work. Now everything works, including shadows. But we are not done yet. Let's see how this works on a real game scenario. Our test material didn't have texture. One way you can keep the texture is to just copy the original material and paste it as unique inside the override material. But make sure not to make the textures unique, only the material itself. Now you get the texture, and you can change the clip scale like before. Another common feature in FPS games is changing the FOV while the player is running, to give it the sensation of speed. But if you do this with the weapon, it just makes it weird, making it look like the hands are stretching. So we need to make sure the weapon camera FOV stays the same. Thankfully, there is now an option to do just that. If you enable FOV override in the material, it will ignore the camera's FOV and keep it the same. But well, while our simple single mesh weapon works fine, that is usually not the case for most models. Most models consist of several meshes, or even meshes with multiple surface materials, making the use of override materials not work to replace them. So we need a better solution. If your models are imported using external materials, you can just change them from there, no problem. But in case you don't use them, there is a simple script solution. So let's go to any of the parent nodes of the meshes and create a new script there. I'll call this clip fix. Here, we'll use find children to find all the children nodes of type mesh instance 3D, and then iterate over all the surfaces the material might have, and enable and change the Z-clip scale and FOV override for all of them. A very simple but working solution. And if you are concerned about the extra time it might take to search the nodes, you can instead use an export variable. So for this case, I just need to comment the mesh instance variable and create an export variable with the same name. Then I'll just add the hands and sword here. And all done! We got the same result. We don't clip on walls and can run without affecting the sword FOV. As always, if you'd like to support me, you can get the project files by supporting me on Patreon. Now you can create and play around with FPS games without the clipping problems. I hope you liked this video, and until next time.